Hello, everybody, and welcome to Let's Play Mass Effect Revolution, the tabletop campaign sequel to Mass Effect Season 1, also known as Mass Effect Collision. And once again, we are jumping right into the warm-up question. So the question I would like to give to the players from the perspective of the characters. As you know, in this particular galaxy, the Red Galaxy, synthetic life has been destroyed, and there are very strict laws against anyone recreating synthetic life again due to the history of what we learned from the Reaper Wars. Obviously, there are going to be differing opinions from different people about their feelings about this. So I guess the warm-up question is simply, what is your character's thoughts on these laws?
Nathan is a child survivor of the Reaper Wars, as I've mentioned many times, which I suppose gives him a different viewpoint on this whole situation in that he has never seen a synthetic outside of the Reapers because he didn't have any kind of VI or AI to do anything for him. So when it comes down to the laws that the council have passed involving synthetic life and the creation of them, he doesn't really understand why people would bother investing in synthetic life now. The fact that it's proven that the creation of synthetic life was actually what nearly killed which is what has been killing the entire galaxy up until we stopped it by destroying the Reapers and all synthetic life. He believes that if there was a way, however, to create safe, quote unquote, synthetic life that wouldn't rebel or, you'd never have to worry about them being able to kill people. Now, he's probably read a bit about the Geth, a bit about what happened there. And, he's like, well, it almost happened. Well, it literally did happen to us in our lifetimes. So he believes they're there for a reason, but at the same time, there's plenty of reasons why you'd want to have synthetics around because they have advantages that we don't, as meat and bones. But they're there because they need to be there, is how he kind of looks at it. And he saw what happens when the Reapers turn up and try and kill everybody. So, not overly pleasant.
Did Nathan ever... obviously we know about what happened in Ireland. Did Nathan ever encounter Geth in his life?
Unless there was Geth who visited Dublin before he turned 13, probably not.
Probably not. Okay.
No. I'm going to say no.
But you're aware of their history and all that good stuff, and their involvement in the war, at least.
He assumed he would have read something about that. They helped, which was, good on them. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, if I remember correctly, I believe in this galaxy, Shepard helped the Quarians exclusively in the Quarian-Geth war, and just screwed over the Geth, basically.
Killed Legion, basically.
Basically, yes. So the history books are probably way different, and how the society feels about the Geth in general feels way different than, say, Green or Blue. Blue being where Shepard actually screwed over the Quarians and sided with the Geth exclusively. Green, where he sided with both and got them to go peacefully. So I'm sure a lot of people's views on the Geth are skewed, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Why don't we go with Vito before we go with Gimmick?
It's a very interesting thought, because Vito was born after the Reaper Wars.
Mm-hmm.
For him, those laws have always been there.
Mm-hmm.
And the synthetic life is mostly history, as far as he could tell. From what he has studied, he doesn't feel particularly one way or another when it comes to the laws. They're there to keep history from repeating itself. But then again, it's discoveries like Gimmick that makes him think that maybe there should be workarounds, maybe um, different laws when it comes to synthetic laws, synthetic life, because as far as he can tell, Gimmick isn't really out there to get them or anything. It's there to learn and to discover, and that's kind of like Vito in general.
Assuming society has been conditioned to teach people to fear the to fear synthetic life, like to fear the Geth, for example, do you believe that Vito would be an outlier from what the rest of society, how the rest of society perceives synthetics life?
Um, as a younger Vito, he he was afraid, but
Mm-hmm.
he dug deeper, read more history books as an archaeologist, as a
Mm-hmm.
historian. He
Mm-hmm.
has had a completely like both sides. He's seen both sides. He's seen pre-Reapers and he's seen post-Reaper history. And is kind of an amalgamation of different things. He is afraid of Geth or of what what they were doing under the Reapers' influence. He was afraid of the Reapers, obviously. But when it comes to other types of AI, like I said, it doesn't feel particularly. Um, he doesn't feel one way or another. He feels that the laws are maybe a little too straightforward, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously, Gimmick is on favor of synthetic life, but
Okay.
the thing is that everyone else seems to hate it. So even though Gimmick wants to live and be around, like everyone, like because of the everyone's feelings, maybe it started to have doubts about if synthetic life is like. If it's right, like if it's not like an abomination or something like was created like against, like if you make a creature with pieces of other creatures and then give it life with lightning. But yeah, it has a couple of questions that maybe need to be answered by someone that knows about robotics and such. So yeah. uh,
Does Gimmick feel confident that he will never be a threat to organic life? Does he trust him? Does he feel he can trust himself that he will never be a threat to organic life?
Well, that's an interesting question because the thing is that at first it was like it knew that nothing could happen, but when everyone started to doubt about Gimmick and like question Gimmick that no, it shouldn't like go alone, and maybe if the Gimmick wasn't going to pick the group before the others and such, and those questions that if you're not going to defend us or like yeah, like put the people you like, you love before the others, and yeah, not doubting Gimmick, like it made it think if he really, if it really would do the right thing, or if maybe at some point for some reason it wouldn't like turn evil and start killing people and such. Everyone doubted him so much that maybe it could happen. How can everyone else be wrong?
When Gimmick was going through the bank systems and the credit card systems, does he believe he was not being a threat to organic life?
Oh yeah, well, at first that wasn't. It wasn't. It didn't think that it was a threat, but when it was shown, or like when it gathered information to know that it was a threat, yeah, and that's another thing that maybe at some point Gimmick could do something bad and don't realize that it's doing it until later, and yeah, it's like, oh, that people that are evil, they don't. Think they are evil. They are doing the things that they want to do because to fulfill their dreams or whatever. But yeah, it's like maybe at some point some Gimmick would do something like that and don't realize it, and yeah.
So as long as Gimmick is not aware that he's hurting someone, it's okay.
I don't know if it's okay, but yeah, maybe last session was the fear question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be another of Gimmick's fears, that at some point it would do something that hurts another one or does something bad to someone else and don't realize that it's doing it. Like, oh, you're turning off the light, but that same switch is turning on a machine that is killing someone else in another room. Like, yeah, something that you don't realize you're doing it, but you are doing it.
When Keller betrayed Gimmick, how did Gimmick feel?
Well, yeah, at that point, it was like fear. Like at any point, people you trust could turn on you, because Gimmick really trusted Keller because it was its father. And yeah, now Gimmick recovered from that experience because of all the experience and people that are around him now. But I don't think that he could take another experience like that, where he's betrayed by someone it really loves. So yeah.
Was Gimmick at any point ever angry at Keller?
No, I don't think so. I don't think till now Gimmick was angry at someone. Maybe sad about things that happen between them, but not really like, because people do sometimes things to each other that to one of them may seem bad, like they're doing it out of hate, but they most of the time have reasons, or or maybe they don't realize they're doing something bad to you. But yeah, it's like until proven wrong, people have the benefit of the doubt.
All right, I'm done grilling you, Astrid. Good job. But I am going to do one more grilling question with Mikey, actually.
Ooh.
All right.
My question to you, Mikey, during your time at Grissom Academy, do you believe that David Archer ever told you about his experience during the Overlord project? Do you guys think you ever had that talk?
Do I think that David would trust Nathan with that information?
Mm-hmm.
Christ, you had to put me on the spot, didn't you? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say that Nathan would have proven himself trustworthy to David at some point during the time at Grissom.
Okay, that's good. I need to know that. Given what happened to him, does that at all change your opinions on the Geth specifically?
In the same way, I'm going to say it does. Because Nathan believes that all life should at least have the opportunity to prove itself worthy of, how do I put this eloquently? Worthy of being accepted into the greater social sphere of the galaxy, I suppose. The Geth weren't given that opportunity after Shepard betrayed them. The Krogan weren't given that opportunity after Shepard betrayed them in the same way. It's just that the Krogan are biological life. So yes, it probably did. It probably made him feel notably more bad about how the Geth were betrayed and how David's brother betrayed his trust, and that probably led to Nathan promising to never betray David's trust in him. So that's there as well.
Question for all three of you, because I don't think I ever asked this question, and maybe this should have been a really interesting warm-up question. Remind me to ask Mikhail this if you would in the next session. In general, and for Gimmick, this is based on what Gimmick has read. In general, do you guys look up to Shepard in this galaxy? In general?
This is a very interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
I have two answers, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
A younger Vito, he did a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He was named after him. The man saved this clutch from possibly never hatching, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he went out of the Commander Shepard went out of his way in the middle of a war to actually aid his colony.
Mm-hmm.
So being named after him was a huge honor to Vito, and hearing many things about how Commander Shepard saved the galaxy was incredible to him. Growing older, reading more about, it's kind of odd saying that, but reading more about the history of the Reaper War, because he never lived it. For him, it's history. Reading about what Commander Shepard did. I'd say a younger Vito pre Tuchanka was I had a very black and white sight on things. The heroes were good and the bad guys were bad. Indiana Jones was the hero and the Nazis were the bad guys. It's as simple as that. Reading more about history, discovering more things about himself, about everything else, he's starting to figure out that heroes sometimes make mistakes, and bad guys sometimes have good intentions, but simply don't have the right means. What Shepard did during the war, Vito doesn't like. He understands that he's named after someone that saved the galaxy, someone that saved him, but that doesn't mean he appreciates some of the choices he's made. So,
Okay.
in a way,
Mm-hmm.
In a way, Vito looks up to Shepard for what he did for the little people, but in another way, he's not entirely sure he likes Shepard as a whole, I guess.
You said that Vito believes that sometimes good guys make mistakes. Does Vito consider that sometimes good guys do bad things for the right reasons, for the greater good? Or does he not believe that?
He believes that, yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't mean he enjoys it.
So Shepard destroying the Geth was a mistake, was a bad thing for the right reasons, or what?
Vito's not sure what to think about the Geth thing.
Okay.
For example, the sabotaging of the genophage is easier for him to understand that it's a bad thing for the greater good. But was it really necessary? Was there another option there? Is what Vito's thinking.
Mikey, did you want to answer that question?
Yeah, the answer is actually kind of simple for Nathan. If Shepard was to walk into a bar with Nathan around, Nathan would buy him a drink. You know, everything is all pro bono. He understands that Shepard did what he had to do, but that doesn't mean he agrees with all the stuff that Shepard did. Shepard's a liar, and that's something that Nathan can't forgive. Nathan knows that Shepard lied to the Geth, lied to Legion, but we don't know that. He lied to the Geth as a whole. He lied to the Krogan, and he didn't even fool. He didn't fool one person. He fooled an entire species in both cases.
How would Nathan have known that Shepard lied?
Well, we do know that.
Do you think the media would have spun it that way? Do you think the public at large would have known what he did when he was in Tachanka and what he said and did in Rachna and in Rannoch?
Maybe not on Rannoch, but definitely on Tachanka, because it would have been like, oh look, there's a cure and it's not working. So, that would have been an awful lot harder to hide, I'd say.
Okay.
So, he definitely knows about that. Maybe not about the Rannoch and the Geth.
The Geth.
But yeah, definitely knows that. Maybe it's sort of rumored, or maybe it's also kind of confirmed, maybe you're not, that Shepard did sabotage the Shroud, or, he did something. Something went wrong, and it was Shepard's fault. That kind of thing. But he also believes that Shepard did everything to save the galaxy, but at the same time, he doesn't agree with the choices that Shepard made, which means Nathan never really had a hero growing up. I'd say the closest thing to a hero he probably had was his mom. So when Shepard was like, when people were talking about Shepard saving the galaxy, Nathan was like, he's a person, he's cool, but I don't look up to him. That kind of way.
So you don't think he's a total fraud?
No, not a total fraud, but he did what he had to do. He saved the galaxy. He stopped the Reapers. But at the same time, if do I think Nathan and Shepard would be friends? No.
Gimmick.
Let's see, because Gimmick lately has been doing the research you do when you open a browser and just start clicking on links that are related to each other. Maybe at some point stumble with something about Shepard, but because Gimmick is, it's like it needs to visualize and see the thing that is in front of him to really make like an assertion or create a profile of that person. It's just like when you read about someone that existed long ago that did things. It's just like part of history, something like happened. It's not. Gimmick doesn't see Shepard as a person. So it's like, yeah, it was a thing years ago. Like it did things, but maybe they affect me now, but I can't do anything about it. So yeah, the things are like this, and yeah.
So in general, do you tend to believe that Shepard was a good person or someone to look up to?
I mean, people like him for what I think.
And people really like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe even though it was like not a fan of synthetic life, for what I could gather,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that doesn't mean that Shepard is like someone bad or evil.
So, now that we're done that, I do have one more warm-up question for our guest player, who is Quintin. Hi, Quintin.
Hello.
For those of you who watched the first season of the Mass Effect Tabletop campaign, Quintin was one of the characters from the Alpha Squad, and he played a character named Salo Vera, which is a Quarian. Actually, could you, just to remind people, Quintin, could you give us a very brief description of Salo and what his character concept was all about, and then B, tell us a little bit about what's been going on with Salo over the last 10 years, in however much or little detail you'd like to share.
Yeah, so Salo, basic concept of Salo is kind of how like a nerdy tech guy who wants to help people with technology. Initially very like shy and like not good with interacting with people. Him and his sister Nilu were the only ones to survive in their galaxy during the whole Reaper thing, and so he's very attached to his family. And became after the campaign became kind of the new Steve Jobs, the Steve Jobs of this reality, where he invented a bunch of different things, but the Omni tool really put him on the map. His personalized Omni tool, the blue line, like the iPhone, the Omni Blue 6, the Omni Blue 9, that kind of thing. And so recently, within the last 10 years, Salo has been, juggling a lot of different things, being the CEO of a major company, pleasing members of boards. He's had meetings with the council. He's been really, really busy doing all sorts of different things. He's been working on his own little personal projects. And recently, because the news media being what the news media is to people of renown, there's been less so of late, but there's been in the news that like him and Meridi have been living separately for a little bit. Like Meridi and the kids, they still both live on Thessia, and they live really close, but Meridi's been and the kids have been staying with a relative of Meridi's. And so that was the thing in the media maybe a couple of years ago.
Okay, and we will see if any of that.
A couple of months ago, actually.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple of months ago, it was a big thing in the news, but it kind of blew over.
Do you believe that all of this success and all of this shining in the spotlight has changed Salo at all?
I think that it's changed him in several ways, but I think he still very much wants to help people, and it's made him more confident for sure. Whether that confidence is a good thing or a bad thing, it's definitely made him more sure of his actions. Like he doesn't doubt himself as much anymore. He knows that if he wants to do a thing, he could probably get it done. And so it's definitely a little less doubting in his ability to perform, and his ability to help other people. He's pretty confident when he comes up with a plan that it's a good thing.
Cool. Thank you, Quintin.
Yeah.
So, maybe that will come into play at some point during this session. I don't know. We'll see. Why are we talking about Salo? Well, I don't know. So, let's get back into where we left off from last session. You guys are at the spaceport or the docking bay because you arrived a little early, about an hour to maybe 2 hours before you originally planned to make your appointment with Salo. But while you were there, a familiar voice called out to Nathan, and it was the voice of who?
Mr. Archer. Hello,
David Archer. So we'll take it from there. We'll say that Dia, unfortunately Mikhail was not able to hang out with us today due to work scheduling, but hopefully we will see him, fingers crossed, next time. So we're just gonna say that Dia is still dealing with stuff with her brother. So I think in character this makes sense for her to hold back at the ship, at least for now. So go ahead. And when David appears, Vito and Gimmick are right there as well. So.
Okay, so there's one question I need to ask, and that is, did Jack teach Nathan at Grissom? That's a question we need to know now.
Would you like to help answer that question, Kiwi? Because I cannot answer that question without your help.
Sure.
All right.
High or low on a D20?
No.
Yes. So basically, yes. So
Hi.
so high is good, low is bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, hold on.
Crossing all my fingers. Hi,
Oh.
she did. What do you know?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Hi. So Jack is still alive.
Yeah,
We
and she's
confirmed that Jack is still alive, and yes, Jack was one of the instructors at Grissom Academy.
cool.
Yes.
She probably would have liked Nathan, but anyway.
Probably.
Nathan sees David and his face, like he's wearing very casual clothes, pair of sneakers, jeans, a Wolves basketball like training jumper, fleece, hoodie, whatever you want to call it, over his shirt uniform, and it's got his number on the back, and that's the only thing that you'd notice on it. And he immediately sees David, and his face just goes wide. His eyes, like they nearly bulge out of his head when he sees David, and he just runs over to him and gives him he sweeps him up in a big hug, assuming David doesn't stop him.
David will respond back with a hug as well. And the hug will linger for a little bit before one of you guys pulls away.
Nathan will like put David back down on his feet because he picked him up into the hug.
It's good to see you, old friend. I didn't think I would see any familiar faces here.
I'm so happy to see you, David. It's nice to see you're doing well.
Thank you. You as well. It's been a while since we've talked.
Yeah,
I've missed our talks.
yeah, it's been difficult these last few months with everything that's happened.
Yes, I've been watching the news. It's terrible. Awful. I wish I could help.
Well, at least you're offering, David. That's more than I can ask for. Thank you. So, onto something a little bit more brighter. What exactly are you doing on Thessia?
I'm in the process of moving here.
Oh,
Jack thought that it would be good for me to learn how to live on my own. I had been on Grissom Academy for quite some time. She thought I was ready to try to be more independent.
oh,
And she felt that of all the places in the galaxy, Thessia might be the best place for me. Might be the easiest place for me to assimilate into.
hmm.
The Asari are very nice.
Yes, and there's lots of various mathematical, technological jobs here that I think that suit you very well, actually.
Thank you. I am trying to look for a job. Jack has been so great about offering to make recommendations for me.
Mm.
Right now, though, I'm just trying to settle and figure out my place.
Well, I should call Jack. I haven't called her in a while. Wonder how she's doing.
She's good from what I've been hearing lately. She's just always busy with the rest of the students, as you can imagine.
Yeah, she's always been a really good teacher. Always liked her. Anyway, I should introduce you to the people I'm with. This is Vito Pix, Gimmick, our VI, and this is we have Pip, and we also have Stan. We have Pip and Stan.
Oh, you have Pip and Stan. All right.
Yeah.
Yes, and Stan is disguised looking like... Does he have a hoodie? I forgot how he disguised.
He's wearing a superhero costume.
Oh, he's wearing a superhero costume. Yes. Okay. Why don't we just to David will turn to the group and say, "How do you do? Any friends of Nathan is friends of mine. I see that one of you is already dressed up for Halloween." And Stan doesn't even seem to notice that David's referring to it, so it just kind of just like I'll say it will sort of do a wave, but it's more like this. He's still figuring out like the way that humans communicate, so he's kind of doing this, almost like raise the roof, but not quite.
Oh, Stan.
We're actually here to talk to somebody about Trebia, but we're here a bit early, so if you want, I have some time. I can help you move in.
That would be great. I was actually also on my way to lunch. Would you be open for something to eat?
Nathan looks at the groups and like, you guys hungry?
I can be hungry, Pip says.
Sure. Eating, as long as it's not, sure.
I can't be hungry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gimmick, Pip says, and she'll sort of try to pat you on the back.
It's okay. Someday I'll be able to eat. Maybe. I don't know.
Stan, he's just absorbing everything around him because Thessia is majestic looking. So they've had 10 years to rebuild. As you know, Thessia was not in a very good shape by the end of the Reaper Wars. But a large amount of effort, especially from the council, was put into restoring it back to the greatness that it once was. There's still obviously traces of reconstruction all over the place, but I don't think Stan has seen anything quite like this, especially since the last place he was at was Tachanka, which is desert, and more desert. So this is a very big departure from what he's used to. So he is, throughout this entire time, he's just looking around and just seems to be in awe of everything.
I'm sure he would like to eat.
Sure. So I should. This is David Archer. David and I went to Grissom Academy together.
Well met.
Hello.
Good to meet you. He will ask, do you guys want to join us for lunch?
Us?
Sure, if we're not imposing. This.
Yes, us.
You
With
and Nathan. Oh, okay.
Well, being seen with me on Thessia is usually a bad idea, considering the last time I was here, I may have, beat the Asari people for a certain trophy. They're kind of still salty over that. So, I got a lot of enemies here, essentially.
David will say, that always puzzled me. It seems like everybody likes you.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully, it won't be too bad. Anyway, so where are we going for lunch, David? You seem to know this place better than us.
There was a food court that I saw the other day. That would probably be our best bet to cater to everybody's tastes.
Sure, let's go there.
All right. So you'll leave the docking bay. You'll take one of the transport thingies. There's like some sort of transportation system.
Yeah.
That will take you over to, we're gonna say it's more like some sort of mega mall area of Thessia. So there's tons of people around, lots of Asari, but other races as well. And people have. This is a relatively moderate to higher end shopping mall. So you definitely have some of the more well-off Asari with their very chic, bags, doing their shopping, and a lot of people also have some of their families and their kids, roaming around. You probably think that being in the mall and shopping is a really good escape from a lot of the things that are going on in the galaxy, especially with the Trebia system. So you get the idea that this is all an escape for a lot of people. But anyway, the food court is relatively large. It caters to all tastes, basically. There's like a noodle ramen stand over there, and then there's like some sort of kebab-y looking thing that's more for the Turian and Quarian based food and things like that. There's all around there are these monitors that are showing. It's almost Wall Street like, but the monitors are showing a lot of things in the news, and there are many ads flashing on the signs and the screens of the new upcoming Omni Blue tool that's releasing very soon. And reserve yours today. It's going to be releasing to the public in like a couple of weeks or something along those lines. So Salo's face is like stamped all over the place. So it's very busy, very, very busy locale. David will ask, Nathan, I know that there's a very good pizza parlor over there. They have a lot of very spicy toppings.
Ooh.
Do you still like spicy food?
Ooh, David, you never seem to forget that. What do you feel like today, David?
Honestly, I haven't had a very good hamburger in a while.
I've been feeling like some ramen, so I'll grab some ramen, and you want a hamburger, and he'll take everybody's order, and he'll go collect everyone's order. So whatever you guys want, he'll get.
Vito's
I
probably getting
wanna
something
ask
like.
you.
Vito's probably getting something like, instead of tempura shrimp, it's like tempura
Yeah,
insect or.
something. Yeah.
With insects and such.
How about you, Gimmick?
I wanted to ask if Nathan attracts any attention in the mall, or is he like?
I would. Well, yeah, Nathan, are you disguising yourself from looking like Nathan Callahan at all, or are you just?
Nathan's
care.
6'8". It's pretty hard to hide himself from anybody. So
All right, so you're not. So I'm gonna say that several people will recognize you, and will probably be asking you for your autograph. Several people will approach you.
Nathan pulls
Or
out
at
his Sharpie.
minimum.
And,
Yeah.
No.
This is par for the course for you. So
Yeah.
it might take a little while for you guys to get your lunch. Nathan may
Yeah.
not have been the best choice, the best candidate to get everybody's food. Just saying.
well, if you guys want to take that, and Nathan will, get his signatures done instead. So it's up to you guys.
Stan is going to wander off, and
Oh,
Oh no.
I don't know if anyone's following him, but he's wandering off while Pip is going to say that she would just like to have one of those warm salad bowls with like
Yeah.
grains and things. But yeah, I think that So Stan's wandering off. Nobody's following him.
no, give me calls for him.
Yeah, Vito will make sure Stan doesn't get lost or
Yeah.
doesn't get into trouble.
Well, okay, so if you're following Stan, he's run off and he's going towards a section of the food court that has a lot of the sweets and desserts. So there's a like a dessert some food area that's specializes in desserts, and they've got some honey cakes on display, and we're gonna say that there's a human, dark-skinned human with relatively curly hair that's with a apron of some sort manning this bakery-looking thing. Why are you reacting to this, Kiwi? And why am I?
No, it seems familiar.
Yeah. On the sign overhead is called the Busy Bee Bakery.
This is great. Yeah, Vito will be looking at Stan and be looking at the choice. Sweet, huh? I like your style.
Stan starts like climbing over the display case to get to the honey cakes.
Oh no.
No. You have to order.
Tilts his head. Click, 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 click.
Oh,
Keep pointing the cakes. Click, 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 click.
I'll show
Click,
you.
click, click.
I'll show you. And Vito just kind of walks to the counter and hi.
Yeah. You walk to the counter. So, like I said, the darker skinned person is actually like baking things, like rolling out some cinnamon rolls or something in the display. The cashier is this relatively, pretty girl with some tattoos down her arm. So.
Oh man, Corky's gonna love this.
She says, "Good afternoon. How can I help you?"
My friend would like honey cakes.
Of course. Would you like a slice, or one of the personal mini cakes, or a whole cake?
Well, what would you
Click,
like?
click, 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 click. He will nod.
A whole cake.
Click, click, click.
I think he means all of them.
all of them?
Click, 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 click. He nods. Click, click, click. Oh, sure. She will start ringing up one of each of those, a slice and a mini cake and a whole cake.
Damn
All
it,
right.
Stan.
I can pay for it.
You can. That's.
Yeah, I have some crates and I don't use them for anything.
We said that credits and American dollars are roughly comparable. Did we say that? Roughly.
Yeah, roughly comparable.
All right. So I'm gonna say that a slice would probably be 3 credits, and then a personal would be like 8 credits, and then a whole one would be like 25 credits. So we'll ballpark say 35 credits. Ballpark 35 credits for that.
There you go. And Gimmick will transfer the credits to Vito.
Sure.
And Vito will.
He'll Venmo Vito. Or something along those lines.
Huh?
I don't know if you have Venmo. Oh, I'm pretty sure you have Venmo in Canada, but I was saying Venmo Vito.
Yeah, Vito will
Stan-
pay for the cakes. And... That's a lot of cakes.
You'll hand it over to Stan, and then Stan will, stick his head in, smell it, and then he'll take out the little container that has the slice of cake, and he will offer it to Vito.
Oh, you. Thank you. maybe after my shrimps, yeah. Maybe after the main course.
All right.
But thank
He
you.
will nod and happily follow you back to the tables. And I'm assuming that Nathan will have his hands full, signing people's whatever they need signed.
Just faces because people are weird.
One of the one female, one Asari is going to say, Nathan, didn't I see you in the news the other day? You were in Tachanka, weren't you?
Yeah, I was.
We heard a part of your speech. It was very well spoken.
Oh, thank you. I tried.
And then several other people, continue to assault you with like things to sign. But eventually, everybody will get back together at a table, and we'll start eating lunch. Pip's gonna start, chowing down her salad daintily. She's a very slow eater, but she definitely seems to be enjoying what she's eating. And Stan's just like, his table manners are not the greatest, but he's downing that cake.
He made convincing arguments.
He just pointed at a cake and he bought it for him. Isn't that basically what happened?
I mean, look at him. You can't say no.
All right. And Nathan will very gently begin eating the ramen with the chopsticks he was probably provided.
Well, I hope I'm not like that as a parent. My kids are gonna have no manners.
David finished chewing his first bite of the burger, and after he swallows, he says, "This is very good. Would you like a bite, Nathan?"
Sure. Would you like to try some ramen?
I was hoping you would offer that, he says with a smile.
Yeah. So Nathan takes.
And you'll give a little bit of a trade, semi-trade to try.
Yeah. He won't take a big bite of the burger. Just enough.
Is the ramen spicy at all? Just out of curiosity.
I'm gonna say it's a very mild spice. Very mild.
Okay. Ramen's very flavorful.
Yeah, it is. Very good.
What do you think of the burger?
Top quality. Very juicy.
He will nod and proceed to finish the rest of his lunch.
So, David, you look like someone that tells really good tales. Would you like to tell us something about maybe your past or something, any story to us while we eat? I mean, while I watch you eat.
He pauses for a minute and he says, "My past. What makes you think that I tell good stories?"
Well, I don't know. I think it's the way you talk, and you look like someone that lived through a lot of things. It
Nathan
shows
is
in your
very
face.
slowly turning his head to look at Gimmick like, maybe you should stop.
I don't know. If Gimmick wants to roll an insight, you may roll an
Okay.
insight.
To see if I really realize.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't roll a one.
Inside.
I'll roll a 1 because it'd be equally hilarious.
16.
16.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna say that Gimmick notices Mikey. Notices Nathan.
Oh, okay.
And is picking up that Nathan is anxious about you questioning David about his past.
But how does David react?
David looks. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that you feel he's uncomfortable. More like he's processing how he should answer that question.
Oh,
He's
okay.
not really sure how he should answer it. And with yes, and then with Nathan, he's anxious that you're asking about his past.
Well, I It doesn't need to be about your past. You could tell us a story about, like, another, like a little robot or something like that.
The story of a little robot.
Yeah.
Like, Pip was saying, "Oh, you mean like one of these?" And Pip pulls out a little mechanical toy robot.
Yeah. But
And
yes.
at that point, when she pulls out the mechanical robot, I'm gonna say that David like flinches a little bit, and then he sort of involuntarily backs away from Pip's direction.
Oh, you don't like Pip's toys? They are they don't hurt.
David is just looking at the toy, and he's just a little. He doesn't respond to you right away.
If you want, Vito could tell the first story because he is really good at telling stories.
I guess.
Am I really?
Vito. You
All
can
right.
say
I can. He's going to like think for a second, and he's going to look at Stan. He's going to pull out the second book. It's like Treasure Ma, my little Treasure Ma book. God.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll read something about that.
You'll start reading, and David has clearly stopped eating, and he's still like eyeing the toy on the table right now.
Nathan will very gently reach out and just put a hand on David's forearm. It's like, just to try and get his attention.
He will slowly like turn towards your direction as if he's breaking out of a small trance.
Nathan just looks at him. Gives him this very comforting, familiar look, and just smiles. Just like, it's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
I've been hearing things.
Oh. Hearing what things?
Voices. I've been hearing voices.
And what have the voices been saying to you, David?
I can't tell. I don't know what they're trying to say. But it doesn't feel right, he says, and he's still looking at the toy while he's talking to you.
Jimmy would be like, I think you're making him uncomfortable. To Pip.
No, you did that.
Pip will start to take the toy back. I'm sorry, and she looks a little hurt by that because normally when she brings out a toy to someone, they're normally like really happy.
Yeah.
So the fact that this is actually like affecting David very negatively, like she seems a little hurt, like, and deflated a little bit. A few seconds will pass, and then David starts to like shake his head a little bit, and he blinks a little bit, and he suddenly like abruptly stands up from where he is, and he's like his hands are shaking a little bit at that point, and he's just looking around,
David,
with a very like distant gaze in his eyes.
David,
quiet, please make it stop. Quiet, please make it stop. And then he puts his hands on his head.
Can I scan him to see if there is anything wrong?
Yeah. Roll in electronics.
Okay. Electronics? There we go. Oh, okay. Natural 20.
Oh.
26.
Yes. So. Yes, Gimmick. All right. If you were going to get a natural 20 on something, this would be the one to get a natural 20 on.
Yay!
So, Gimmick starts to scan towards David's direction. You definitely pick up something electronic that is, it's not necessarily going directly into David, It's just passing through.
Oh.
Almost like a radio signal. It's just passing through, and you can certainly pick up some sort of
Message?
it's a message, yes. And clearly, like it's you sense that it's some sort of communicative line. It's hard to like make out what the message says because you recognize this as being a point-to-point communication, but you can like get traces of, even though it's point-to-point, you can sort of get traces of the signal itself. You can clearly hear, though, you can with a 20 you'll be able to decipher some of it and at least get some sort of audio playback of some sort. Clearly the sound of the audio playback is in the Quarian language. After doing a little bit of even more digging, because you got a really nice natural 20, the voice, based on the voice mapping, you can actually identify the identity of the voice. And you are able to find out that the voice is that of Salo Vera.
Oh, okay.
This is getting spicy.
Yeah.
And somehow you're deducing that David is able to pick up this signal somehow, because the signal is getting like louder and louder and more intense, and he's reacting to that as the signal's getting more intense. And he's just constantly like doesn't even realize that any of you are here. He's like in his own little world right now, like just kind of
Sensory overload.
right, sensory overload, and just yelling and screaming, "Quiet, please make it stop! Quiet, please make it stop!"
There is any way that Gimme could like at least sham the communication or something so it stops? Or...
Yes.
Okay.
That is the last thing that I will say you can do with that natural 20,
Oh.
is that you can jam the signal so that it stops.
Okay.
So
I was about to
Nathan know,
roll it.
has Nathan ever experienced this before with David?
Yes. If you have... I'm going to assume at some point you can decide what the context is. But at some point you two will have slept in the same room. That's all I will say. At some point you've slept in the same room. And when that happened, he has had some PTSD nightmares. And you've heard him say, "Quiet, please, make it stop," in his sleep. That was probably the moment when he shared his experience with the Overload Project with you.
Yes.
It's something that he's been trying to forget and put away from his mind. And a lot of his time with Jack has been very helpful to him, because Jack also has had a very rough past, if you remember,
Yep.
and has dealt with her own PTSD. So she has taken David under her wing specifically to help him deal with his past demons and trying to get him to move forward, which he has. He's gotten really good and he's made great progress. Something, though, seems to have triggered him again.
Does Nathan know how to help him in this situation?
Yeah. I think that one thing that helps relaxes him and keeps him focused is mathematical formulas, especially square roots of things.
Yeah.
That's how he like refocuses again.
Okay, so
So
Nathan,
you have to ask him, David, what's the square root of this? What's the square root of that? And that like brings him back.
So Nathan will stand up and actively start not shouting at David, but like talking to David and saying, "David, what's the square root of 40? David, what's the square root of 9? David, what's the square root?"
Right. He'll say that. He'll repeat, and it's almost like Lamaze, kind of, where you have the coach, and instead of trying to support the woman to breathe while she's giving birth, you're asking him a question, he's responding. You're asking him another question, he's responding. It's just helping him focus and keep his mind off of whatever is in his head.
Yeah, so Nathan will just keep making up random square roots, just constantly ask him over and over and over and over and over again.
Right. Even square roots that you yourself don't know, but you know David
Yeah,
knows.
he's just like random number that comes to head, square root of blank.
And you know he's going to be right. Pip is going to look very, very distraught, and she's going to look absolutely frightened. It's like, oh dear, did I do something wrong? Like, she looks very, very horrified that she hurt this man. And Stan is observing, not really sure, very confused as to what's happening. Almost as if he's thinking, is this normal for humans? Do they normally act like this? Because he's not sure. He doesn't know.
Oh, don't worry, Pip. There was something like communication or something like that that was hurting him, I think.
Communication?
Yeah, like,
David is rocking back and forth. He's like on the ground, like hugging his knees, and he's rocking back and forth and listening to Nathan's square root questions and just responding as he's trying to gather his thoughts. Everybody else in the food court by now is like confused as well, because they definitely heard him shouting, and some of the like people at the food court are beginning to walk towards you to ask if everything's okay. Do we need to call an ambulance? Things like that.
Nathan will just like raise a hand as if to give him space. He needs space right now.
After a while, you'll feel that David has come back to a relatively stable state. He's breathing very heavily. His hands are still shaking. He's still hugging his legs as he's crouched on the floor. Nathan.
David.
I don't know why I keep hearing these voices. I thought they were just my imagination, but they're so loud.
Have you talked to Jack about them?
Not in a while. I haven't had the nightmares in a very long time, which is why Jack thought it was a good time for me to try to live on my own, but I don't know if I'm ready.